Hey everybody, this is Cody922 here. Welcome to Cody Talks Fandom, episode number 50. Did it. Halfway to 100 for my little tiny show that started on a whim of an idea. Since the beginning, I have gotten a better microphone, better editing software, and even a better Minecraft because the Xbox One came out. But episode 50 is going to be a little bit different. I've had a format that I've wanted to run for quite some time in the idea of this show, and I've decided to test it out here. I'm going to be talking about characterization this episode. And specifically the characterization for the 4 members of Team RWBY. And I thought that would be a fun thing to do, but it occurred to me that really the idea for getting a better understanding of the fanon interpretations of Team RWBY would probably just be to invite the fanon of Team RWBY. This is an episode I've been planning for quite some time, and I'm really excited. Everybody, please welcome onto the show Emmy, Hana, Ivory, and Krissy.
Yo!
Hey.
Hello! Okay, well, I'm Krissy, aka Zextrin. Nice
AKA Yang.
AKA Yang.
In this
I
instance.
guess I've been assigned Yang.
Yes, everybody's been assigned a character.
Everyone's been assigned a character. We should probably do it in order then. Ruby should start off.
Alright, I'm Emmy, Ruby Rose, and I'm playing Ruby. Surprisingly.
Oh, sorry. I was waiting for an intro or okay. Hi, I'm Hana or Hana, whatever floats your boat, or otherwise known as Hana Sakushijin, and I'm Weiss.
Alright, this is Ivory, otherwise known as the Ivory Tower Crumbles, and I'll be discussing Blake's end of things today.
And again, I'm Yang, who jumped ahead of herself, and it's Krissy again. So, I already introduced myself.
It's like the RT podcast. Gus, so and so, and Gus. However many people
Let's
got that.
Let's just all go
reference.
through again. It's all good.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, this is something I think I've been talking about this since Ivory's interview. Honestly, yeah, it was definitely after Krissy. I think it's been since Ivory's interview.
You've been talking about it for a while. You're like,
I
oh
have.
man, I want to do a big group interview and it'll be so cool and we'll have all these writers and it'll be great. So I've been excited too.
Yeah, I've been, I think I purposely didn't broach this idea to any of you until like a month ago, I'd say. I don't remember when I asked all of y'all, but pretty much the day that I asked everybody was the day that I'm like, all right, now I'm going to tell them. But this has actually been something planned out since like episode 42 for this to actually happen. So it's been a while.
Nice.
I'm glad to be here.
And I'm excited for it because this is a different format. This is completely different than anything that I've done before. And so as a result, I think it's probably best that I explain what exactly the format is going to be. So for everybody listening and for the 4 lovely people that I have in front of me here.
Yeah, this is the first time we're hearing this, so I'm excited to know what exactly we're going to be doing.
So actually, Hana knows a little bit.
It's a little bit.
Because Hana asked. But so how this is going to break down is I have 4 questions to go here, and I'm going to pitch them to the group, and then we're going to go in order. So, for example, let's just say one of the questions is, it's not actually one of the questions, is what's your favorite ship with your character? I would go, all right, let's start with Emmy, who clearly Emmy's is Jean RWBY, obviously.
Ow.
It hurts.
It's been fun having Emmy on the show.
She's cringing.
I'm already like feeling my blood pressure.
You don't even joke about that.
Too late. But so Emmy's first. Emmy would then answer, and I guess in that instance would also explain kind of why she would like that particular dynamic. What about it kind of is interesting, what's fun to play with about it. And then after Emmy is done explaining that, then everybody else will get an opportunity to add something in. So if it's like Emmy says something like just the automatic friendship that was established between the two of them is like a good way to base off of it. Somebody else could come in and be like, well, yes, but it's kind of sad because we didn't get to see it grow. And then like you can just discuss off of it from there. And we just go through the list of 4. It'll always be in order because I'm all about that order. And when Krissy started, I died a little inside for the introductions. But
sorry, I'm an asshole. Come on.
I should know. I've done like 5 recordings with you now.
You should be used to this, honestly.
I should be, but I'm not. It's a surprise every time. But you do it a different way every time. But and so then we'll just go through the list. So it will every single time it'll go Emmy, Hana, Ivory, and Krissy. And then after everybody is done with that one, then we will move on to the next thing. Okay. Make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right.
Makes crystal clear.
All right. Okay. So, oh wait, I need the timer. For those of you who don't know, I'm going to be capping them off. There's a soft cap in an hour and a hard cap in an hour and a half because I don't feel like editing 3 hours worth of 4 audio tracks. I just don't.
Don't? Really? Oh my gosh.
Actually,
Come on, Cody. This is episode half 100.
Yeah, episode 100. I'm not doing that. I got news for you. Actually, since Hannah's here, I probably should account for that. 15 hour.
What?
It wasn't 15, maybe 5.
It was 6 actually.
It was 6.
It was 6 hours,
Yikes.
and it was
That's impressive.
Yeah, 10 hours of editing.
I
that
mean,
was so much fun.
When it's RWBY, you can't shut me up.
You just have so many feelings.
And when you have 50 questions or however many you had.
That's true.
The last hour of it is literally, like, the last hour of actual footage is literally just me being like, all right, we don't have to ask that. We don't have to ask that. We don't have to ask that. Like, I'm just, like, trying to get rid of as many questions as I can. All right. So, I will ask the first question to Emmy, and then I'll start the timer. Emmy, are you ready?
I'm ready. Is that the first question? Yes.
We're down to 3 questions now.
Oh my god.
Everybody
Emmy.
discuss. No. All right. So, Emmy, how exactly do you go about when characterizing RWBY?
Like, you mean in terms of, like, writing her? Or?
Yeah, just writing her.
Oh, yeah. Well, I usually just kind of tend to base it off of, like, I'll start to think about, like, getting inside her head, and, like, I feel that RWBY at her core just wants to, like, be the best that she can for the people around her. Like, she might not know how to do that at first, but, like, once she, like, understands what to do, or, like, if someone has a problem with her, then she'll correct herself to try and make it better, because she doesn't want her friends to, like, have problems because of her. Like, that episode where Weiss told her, like, hey, you know, you don't really do anything, and you're the leader, but you only got there because blah, blah, blah. And, like, she immediately started studying and trying to, like, fill that sort of gap that Weiss had presented to her. So I just sort of, I just try to think, like, how RWBY would think, like, if she had to change something to, like, help somebody else, or what she can do for the people around her.
All right.
That's so sweet.
Anybody else want to contribute?
We'll go in order. Weiss? Hana?
No, I meant to what Emmy said, but if you...
Exactly, but even when we're contributing,
Oh.
we should still go in order.
All right, well...
I would assume.
It'll keep us from talking over each other.
Yeah,
it's probably good. Yeah.
I mean, I can't really combat anything Emmy said, because to me, she literally is Ruby Rose, but I mean, basically, when I personally write RWBY as well, I tend to write her more as a childish character, but she's very righteous, and she always puts others before herself, and right, that's pretty much how I always think of her, like, energetic, but she's not stupid. I don't really know how else to put it, but she's beyond her years. I'm glad I can't articulate it very well. So I'm just going to stop there before I make a fool of myself. Okay, Ivory.
Alright, RWBY is that most of my AUs tend to be older. I've only written RWBY as her, like, canon age, like, 2 or 3 times. And the hard thing for me is, like, extrapolating, like, what she'll be like when she's older. Because, like, yeah, she's very energetic and tenacious and loves her weapons. But, you know, like, I'm 24 now, and I have nothing in common with who I was at 15. So it's, for me, sometimes it's hard with RWBY because we've only had, you know, now 2 seasons of the show to be like, what's she going to be like in 10 years? That's such a huge gap. Go ahead, Krissy.
Cool. I love RWBY. She's my favorite character. But I don't necessarily think I write her very well. I go too much in one direction or the other. I make her too serious, or I make her too juvenile. But one thing I try to do is that I keep her single-minded. Like, to me, the thing that stands out about Ruby is her single-mindedness. She does everything with like 100% purity. Now, purity might mean different things to different people, but I just view it as when she says she's going to do something, she follows it through. And maybe even for things she shouldn't follow through with, like she sees things to their absolute end.
All right.
And also, she's a cutie patootie.
All right. First off, Krissy, that's why you're here as Yang in the Yang slot, not the Ruby slot. Sorry, Krissy. Also, I will say, Ivory, I forgot to make another Lindsay Jones joke before going into this.
Thanks, Cody.
Yeah, I was going to. Trust me, it was on my agenda. All right, so that's gonna wrap up for Ruby for this particular question. Let's take it
for the Rwanda.
Let's take it over to Rwanda, Rubbles, Rubaloobs.
I tag her as Rubbles all the time.
Rudabug,
whatever
I have
else
like
they want to do.
6 tags for Ruby. It's kind of
I know the Straw Baby Girl and Weiss for Laifu for Emmy.
It's just gonna be more and more as time goes on.
Also, I'll say, so if we're doing the whole order thing, then it'll go after Hana speaks. Then it would be Ivory, Krissy, and then Emmy. So we just like go to the end and then start again. All right, but
okay.
Hana, same question to you. How exactly do you go about characterizing Weiss when writing her?
Well, I think Cody probably knows better than anyone else from our previous interview that I detest how I write Weiss. Like, I don't think I do it very well at all, ever. And it's always a challenge for me because sometimes, depending on what story I'm writing or if it's an alternate universe or anything, I always have trouble with her personality at the beginning because that would be before she's interacted with anyone or before we know what's going to happen in the story. But I always try and make her more refined and sophisticated than most others. I give her a certain speech pattern and a certain way of moving and holding herself and things like that. And as the story would progress, I would either have her slowly open up or start to trust people for different reasons. But her trust is something that definitely has to be earned. And if you're not worthy of it, she will not give it to you. And that's how I see her, as more of an elevated kind of character as opposed to others, because she is my favorite, even if I struggle to write her a lot. Yes, that's the gist of it.
Amen.
All right, Ivory.
Yeah, I love writing Weiss. I do a lot of my stories from her perspective. Actually, I don't know why I find her to be the easiest to write from the perspective of out of the 4. It's really weird, but I love Weiss because you can make her so sharp and strong. It doesn't mean that I guess a lot of people, Ice Princess, whatever, that she's fragile in a way because she has issues with her family and issues with the Faunus, and now she's in this team, and clearly we're going to see way more family issues when we actually have Winter turning up, and probably also her father. But she's my knight errant child. She's so self-sacrificing in ways that she doesn't even intend to. Like, my favorite example of this is the checkmating move in Painting the Town. When
don't get me
started. My heart.
You're hurting me.
I love it. Okay, I'm sorry. She just, first she's cooperating with Blake, like they're going back and forth, and then she realizes that she can't make the big blow, so she just immediately sacrifices herself to throw the glyph down so Blake can do it. And she just falls. Like, in the background, when Blake lands all gracefully on the glyph, she just slams into the ground, and it's like, Jesus Christ, Weiss. But she does it anyway. She did it without thinking, without asking. Yeah, so I love her. She's great.
Groans in pain.
All right. Now, Krissy?
Okay. Sorry, I had to interject there. I'm going to be better about that from now on. But
you can have gut reactions.
Oh my god, I'm sorry. But Ivory was talking about that, and it just immediately, hurt me, because that's so... the best thing about Weiss. I love writing Weiss, because she's mean. she is such a mean character. She can get really, really vicious. And I like that she always has to be, like, on top, and she's always trying to be better than everyone else. But that's because, she's doing that mainly to reassure herself that she's better than everyone else. Because that's what she was taught, and that's how she gets by, is by assuming she's the best. And if she's not the best, then everything else starts falling apart. And then you realize that Weiss is actually, as Ivory said, super duper fragile and a very vulnerable character. Because when things aren't just so, things, she just starts falling apart. And I love writing her just being super duper vicious and mean, but internally she's like, I have to be this way because otherwise, I can't make it. And possibly other people understanding that or not understanding that, and then Weiss has to force herself to be nicer, and or maybe not even nicer, just explaining that this is who she is and she's trying to be better about it. I love Weiss. Oh, and also another example of that whole self-sacrificial thing that she doesn't even realize she's doing it. Episode 8, when they're fighting the giant Nevermore, and RWBY has to go up the cliffside, and you see Weiss just give all of her glyphs to get RWBY up that hill. And when the camera cuts down to everyone on the floor level, you see Weiss, like, on all fours, and she's, like, panting, and she's completely out of it. She wouldn't even, if it hadn't worked, she wouldn't have been able to run away. But she trusted RWBY that much.
My heart hurt. Thanks for that, Krissy.
Oh my god, she just trusts these people so much, and it's so, like, it's like a rare and wild thing that she's doing. Yeah, I love it.
All right.
Yeah, Weiss is wild. Sorry, I got really, I'm sorry, I have a lot to say about Weiss, excuse me. Weiss is also super wild. She's super reckless. She's always getting into scraps and fights. Yang is characterized as being the super, thoughtless one, but Weiss is the one who will throw down over nothing. And Weiss will just completely, try to destroy everything in her path. And I have a headcanon that she's also an adrenaline junkie, but that's for another day. Now I'm done. I'm sorry.
All right. I can't wait till 10 seconds later when Krissy says something else. But before that, Emmy, what do you have to contribute?
So yeah, hopping on board with this whole self-sacrifice thing. So, the way, in that same episode where she throws down the glyph for Blake, like when she gets the call and the robot's running along the road and she just jumps into traffic and just like right into the middle of oncoming traffic, just ready. Oh, I'm in position. Okay, it's all good. It's like she can't be really she does really dangerous stuff, but she does it in a really precise manner. And getting back to how I would write her is kind of I always imagine her as super stressed out 100% of the time,
Definitely.
very, very, very stressed out, high strung, and constantly trying to compartmentalize so she doesn't have a breakdown. And it's because because she's got so much pressure, family and her team, and she has the issues with Faunus, but she's trying to work past it so she can be okay with Blake and improve as a person. But it's just, she has so much on her mind, and I really want to see in more detail, of course, what exactly her relationship is with her sister too, because I'm sure that is a huge part of it. And I can only imagine the stress that would come from being from such a prestigious family and having an older sister that's already done everything that you can do but better probably, and then just having to find your own little niche and try to make it. It's just and just the way that she is with her team, I really hope that she can kind of she's already had a little bit of time to warm up to RWBY and feel some sense of solidarity with her. And I'm also really looking forward to how she and Yang, I want to see her and Yang interact a lot more.
Mm.
Like a lot more. I mean, there's been a lot of Weiss and Blake interaction too, which is good because like, you know, they kind of need to because they have arguably more obstacles to overcome. But like, I feel like someone like Yang would be so good for Weiss to like open up to because like Yang is just like a paragon of no judgment and would just be like Yang has a sister. Yang is an older sister figure, and like Weiss could probably get some of the comfort that she was missing from possibly her and Winter not having a great relationship. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I'm really looking forward to seeing that. Yeah, so that's kind of what I would like to see. and
you took the words right out of my mouth.
All right. Also, shout outs. Every single person covered Weiss and a different member of Team RWBY. Every single person did. And that's great. I was sitting here and I was ready to make Emmy ruined it. I was sitting here, I was ready to make a joke and I was gonna say, much like in canon, there's no love for freezer burn, but no.
No.
You ruined it, Emmy.
I am proud.
You should be.
Also, and this is just personal, totally 100% headcanon, but I could see Weiss like bullying Yang to go for a ride on the motorcycle.
Yes.
Just because,
oh my God.
you know, yeah, because it's like, oh my God, my father would never allow me. He would kill me if he saw me on this. Yang, come on, let's go.
I know. As soon as he said like the adrenaline junkie thing, I'm like, Krissy's thinking about the motorcycle thing. I just
she would probably be upset
so
that Yang made her wear a helmet.
Yeah.
She would take a shower for 3 hours, be like, my hair is a mess, but I don't regret it.
I know she probably feels sweaty after.
Oh God.
I am also going to say this is more serving as a reminder because just based off of some of the things that y'all have said, this is the show's Cody Talks Fandom, now Cody Talks Fandom FNDM. Forgot to mention that at the start of the show. Go me. And so we're here to talk about fanon interpretation. So how accurate your thing is to canon is kind of irrelevant to me. I want to hear more about what y'all do for your characters on like a personal note. If it's just like there's no canon evidence for this, but I'm going to use an example that we have confirmation for canon, but Ruby's favorite food is strawberries. Like that's fine. Like if you know, and you'd like to just portray it like that way, that's fine. That's a fine thing to do, and that's kind of what the idea is here because you know the name of the show.
Cool.
All right. With that, we are on Ivory now.
So
Ivory. Yes. How exactly do you go about characterizing Blake when writing her?
Okay, Blake's really interesting because probably out of all of the main four, probably has the most sprawling fanon interpretations. I mean, like one of the biggest fights in fandom, which is a ridiculous fight, and I think we all know that is like drawing Blake as black. For example, like that's one of the it's huge. It's like, you know, like people get new in the fandom when we have some ridiculous fight over it. And the same thing with in terms of like non-binary and trans headcanons and stuff is that Blake is often the target for them. Like Blake is like such a malleable character in fanon. Like I could go in different tags and find 10 different AUs, and if you line them all up next to each other and asked somebody who wasn't in the fandom, they'd be like, "This is all Blake?" ? Which I could say about my own stuff too. I mean, I made Mafia Blake, which is obviously 10 years older than regular Blake and tattooed and has no pronouns. So, like, it's not that I'm not completely guilty of this. It's just I think it's interesting that she's the character that's presented as, you know, she's the underdog. She's not only a faunus, which is already in a, you know, disadvantaged position. She's ex-White Fang, which is even worse than just being White Fang, because if she was White Fang, she'd have them on her side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she is ex-White Fang.
Poor Blake.
I'm so scared for Blake.
Cannot catch a break.
You know, Blake has everybody pissed off at her except her team, and even then she kind of still does it to her team.
Still. Go to sleep, Blake.
Like, even then, like, I loved the fight. Like, because I had a lot of headcanons about, like, a lot of ways that people write Blake and Yang together is I disagree with for various reasons, but is that I always feel like that a big spark for their relationship is anger. Is they have a lot of it. under the surface. And the few times that I wrote Bumblebee, I wrote that, and I was glad to see it show a canon thing. When they actually fight, they shove each other, they start yelling at each other, and then they hug, and I'm like, that's it exactly. They have all of this buried underneath all the time, and I think that Blake thinks she's an adult. She's 17, but she thinks she's an adult, and she probably doesn't think that the rest of the team is. And when I write her, she tends to, she or they, I don't even use she pronouns that much, but hey, tends to be self-isolating, and sees that Violet has come to the realization that violence can be a really useful tool and hates it. She knows how useful it can be, and that's usually when I'm writing Blake in whichever capacity. It's with the knowledge that she could always just default to a violent outcome, and trying to find a way around it, and trying to be this better person, trying to be the fairy tale hero is just, it's so hard. And in terms of like connecting with other characters, I really hope that in Volume 3 and stuff we get more between Blake and Ruby.
Yes!
Because in my like fanon interpretations is that Ruby is literally a rose-themed leader, which is exactly what she had with Adam, but is young and still has that fairy tale ideal and really does want to be the hero. You know, and to Blake it's like the kind of person who kills Grimm and rides in on the white horse and does all that. And I feel like, and I do write it when I like that Blake is both sometimes upset with Ruby for still being that, like, you know, thinking that way, but also wants to connect to that again, to feel what it's like to be that good person.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I love redemption arcs, so I love Blake, but I'll pass mine on to Krissy. Go for it.
Oh yeah, that's right, I'm not. Cool. I was waiting for Emmy. I'm like, I want to hear what Emmy has to say.
No, I'm like vibrating with the strength of 1,000 ladybugs right now. I'm just.
I'm working on a ladybug fic, by the way. Just
okay. I will. Good. I know what I'm doing next.
Yeah. Oh, that makes me so happy. You can hear the ladybug wings humming in the distance. Building of what Ivory said, that Blake thinks of herself as an adult. I loved that. Sort of what made me dislike Blake at the beginning. One of her first introductions is she sees Ruby and she goes, "That's very ambitious for a child." And I just wanted to reach to the screen and grab her and go, "You're 17, you pretentious fuck." But then I realized that Blake, you know, really does think that Ruby's a child and that she is an adult and that she has to be responsible. She has, like, the super rigid... Oh, but how I characterize Blake is that Blake has super rigid, iron, godlike self-control. Because, A, she has to keep all of these different threads of her life separate, which is impossible. You know, they keep finding ways to reach to her. You know, her past keeps catching up with her. But on top of that, more practically, she has to keep her ears from fucking twitching all the time.
Yeah, no kidding.
She has to, you know, those ears are literally her emotions, and the only times you see them move are when she wants them to move, or when she's really super flustered. Or she's flustered and she thinks nobody's paying attention to her. So she's got super rigid self-control, and she thinks that she's got everything under control. Like Weiss, she wants everything to be a certain way, and she starts falling apart if things don't go that way. As we see very clearly with her little breakdown when she starts, you know, she stops sleeping and stuff. So Blake, again, Ivory really said it best. I'm so glad Ivory's here to talk about Blake, because about the whole thing about, oh goodness. Violence being a good solution to problems. It's like that contradiction in terms. It's like, to be a good person, you can't do this. But to make sure that the bad people don't do what they want, I'm forced to fight them. And, you know, and she's constantly having that dilemma. And as for Blake being super varied in her fandom how people interpret her. What I thought Ivory was going to say was that some people view Blake as a kitty girl.
Oh, no, I
And
I meant like AU.
I thought that's where you were going with that. I thought that, I was like, oh yeah, that really bothers me too when people reduce Blake down to being a kitty. But at the same time, I think it's funny and it's cute, so I don't mind it when people do that. And I'm guilty as hell. I did that stupid Blake's in Heat fic. Well, I think it's stupid. I don't like it. Other people
Shame
do.
on you,
so
Krissy.
I don't know. I feel like it's not as good as other things I have written. So I feel like it's old shame. But as for people identifying with Blake, I think when you create a character and you have her try to represent some sort of minority without making it explicit what it's supposed to be, then don't be surprised when every single one of those minorities start claiming her as theirs, or just identifying her with her and trying to make it more reflective of who they are.
Definitely.
Now, that's not a problem at all, but what happens then is that people who aren't, they see this as like an attack on canon, when it's not. It's just like, hey, I wish this would happen, but it's not, so I'm gonna write this, and this makes me happy. And then you start getting people fighting over it because, they don't understand, and what they don't understand, they'll start to mock. And then when you start mocking something so intensely personal, obviously it gets ugly very fast, which is why you have all these people thinking, oh, there's a big ugly war in the fandom. When, in my opinion, and super biased, it's that it's really only one side is being attacked.
Yeah.
But when you get down to it, how I write Blake is just write what she's really thinking, write out her whole dialogue explaining her whole thought process and why she's feeling everything exactly the way she's feeling, and then go back and cut out 90% of it, because Blake cannot talk to save her life. And getting a real answer out of Blake is like pulling teeth. And that's how I like to write Blake.
All right. Emmy?
Okay. So
She's preparing herself.
I'm ready. I'm so ready.
Listen.
Hit me.
Oh my
Hit me
god.
with your best shot.
Okay, so the way that I sort of headcanon Blake, and to an extent RWBY, is that I think very strongly that both of them are kind of very protective of the other. Because Blake, I imagine, sees a lot of the person that she used to be in what RWBY is now. So, like young idealist, so far, verily uncorrupted, sort of, so she kind of, it's like Ivory said, where it's she likes the fact that she can be a fairy tale hero, and she kind of wants to reach out to that, but I feel like there's something holding her back, because she's worried about what could happen to RWBY, but she wants to see her she wants to see RWBY prove that it's possible, basically. And as far as RWBY's relationship with Blake goes, it's been shown that she's really protective of her in canon, which was really great, because I already kind of thought that RWBY is kind of protective of Blake, because I feel like RWBY wants to include people, and how it is. It's just when you have it's like when you have a cat and you want it to come and play with you, but it won't. I mean, this is not comparing Blake to a cat, explicitly.
You just happened to say cat.
You can be honest.
But it's how cats are, they want their space, and then if you love them, you want them to come over and play with you. So RWBY is, I feel like she would go that extra mile to try and include Blake and make her feel welcome. And on a deeper note than that, knowing that Blake is kind of the quote unquote stray, and how she has to she feels like if she can't fit in, she has to run away from the problem, that sort of thing, the whole argument blow up that happened with Weiss. She had to book it right out of there, because she's don't know how to deal with this, gonna go and cry about it for a little bit. So she goes, and then, and then I feel like Ruby was worried about her, like, something like that happening again with her. So I feel like Ruby would make an extra effort to, like, keep her connected and, like try to make sure that she always has someone to, like, reach out to. Because I like, with Blake being the sort of, like, outsider feeling out of place in the group, I feel like Ruby could possibly relate to that, because, she, like, her mom Summer is gone, and who I also desperately want to see, but that's for another time. But like, with Ruby not having, like, parts of her real family, I feel like her and Blake could have, like, some, like, a lot of common ground between them in terms of, like, feeling out of place at times, and wanting to just look out for the people that are close around them. So what was I gonna say? Oh, I just had it, but it went out the window. But okay, the other thing that I was thinking of was that, like I would love so much for there to be, like, a rose-colored glasses metaphor sort of thing, for, like, you look through you see the world through, like, rose-colored lenses, and like, Blake is kind of looking at Ruby, and she knows that Ruby is really good, but she's also kind of afraid to put her trust in that, because she's scared of, like, what the world could do. So she, like, I feel like they're very protective of each other, and like okay, that I remembered what it was now. I feel like Blake really wants to keep Ruby safe, but I think Ruby's really gonna keep Blake safe too, by how she, like, just treats her like, part of the family. And I think that's what Blake needs, is, like, something solid. But yeah.
All right. Before I contribute, I would like to just point out on here that some of the only messages on the chat right now are just Ladybug and Ruby loves Blake Doki. So thank you to Krissy and Ivory for contributing with
I didn't even see those.
Yeah.
Now I see.
Earlier, I was trying to keep myself from yelling out loud, so I'm just typing in here. I think earlier Hana was talking about how Weiss is being so self-sacrificial, and I also forgot to say that Weiss has to be the best teammate ever.
I was actually gonna say that, and then just, like, jokingly, like, there's no proof that anybody else said it but me, but no, lost that joke. All right, so lastly, Hana?
It's okay. You guys all outshined me already. I mean, what am I supposed? I'm last. Everyone said everything already.
Sorry.
Everyone said everything so perfectly.
Hana,
What do you like about
Hana,
writing
just
Blake?
tell us how you...
Right.
Yeah, how do you get into the Blake headspace?
All right. So I personally, I use the canon version of Blake when I try to write her, but I only use it on a very basic level, because I was kind of upset with the canon of how they said, oh, we don't want to, make Blake a kitty cat, and then they put a laser on her, and I was like, I was really upset at that part. I was like, come on, you weren't gonna do this, and then they did it in the canon and stuff like that. And then when she refused to listen to her teammates and take care of herself and go to sleep, I mean, I know it was necessary to build her character in a certain way, but I just didn't like that part of her in the canon. But when I write, I try not to use, like, those parts of Blake. I try and make my own kind of version of her. And the way I write Blake is, I don't want to say timid, but she's not as forthcoming as the other characters, or as I would write the other characters. She's the one who, like, she'll sneak around if she has to, or I feel, this is what I was thinking how to put it. If one of her other teammates was, like, in a dire situation where she would, be dying, and if she told the other three, leave me behind, I feel the other two would probably say, no, we're not going to leave you, but I feel Blake would be the one who would leave them behind or something. And because she knows the reality, even though it's horrible, even though she doesn't want to do this, but even if it's, like, against every fiber of her being, I feel that she would be the one to run and leave them if it meant she could fight another day or she could save someone else.
Well, that is canon.
Go ahead.
If you think about it. I'm sorry to interrupt, but that's totally canon. I mean, I'm not trying to disagree with you. I'm saying, no, Hana, you're completely right. That is totally what Blake would do. Because in the fight on the train, Blake is the one who keeps going every single time.
Right. I feel like that was because her teammates...
Good characterization.
Yeah, like her teammates
Hana.
want her to get her revenge, so they're like, make sure she gets to Roman because she wants revenge on him. But if it was something where, like, she would have to let someone die, and they told her to save herself that she might do it, even if, she really didn't want to, and if no one else would, but I don't really want to write, like, I don't write her as a villain, but she can easily cross that line one way or the other in my mind, but I try not to do that because I don't really like hurting them too much in my stories.
You don't like angst.
Arguably.
No.
Not as much as I like other things.
I'm sitting over here having written Mafia AU, and Ash just asks me, like, don't hurt Blake. I failed in that.
The Mafia AU just starts spilling out of Ivory's pocket.
Blake is like the first character we do hurt. We always hurt Blake first.
So
and
easy.
I actually agree with Hana in terms of like how close that Blake could be to be a villain, because I have written more than one AU like that. It's that is if there's a long enough hesitation or a drive in a certain way, or the fact that the far important big picture goal is worth a certain amount of violence or worth a certain amount of behavior, Blake might take that jump.
Exactly. Well, and I know that
totally
at
agree.
some point
Maybe you guys like hurting
they're gonna
Blake.
push
I
it.
like hurting Ruby. That's just me, though.
hurt the child, okay.
All right,
But yeah, that's...
I'm sorry for who I am as a person.
all right. So basically, TLDR of this one: Blake's diverse, Ladybug,
Collective Ladybug.
and in the Hunger Games, Blake kills PETA. Is basically what we have
Spoilers.
gotten here. Yeah, spoilers.
Yeah.
Sorry for all of you who I spoil. It's not even. Well, I guess technically it is.
Nah, I think
spoilers,
we've had enough time to catch up.
On top of Blake being a hard ass and a badass, she's also the only character in RWBY that we've seen cry, which is probably
So
why I have
far.
her call in my fix. So far, I love it though. I love that the stoic one is the only one who got so emotional that she cried. My heart. Okay, but next question,
right.
since we're done with this.
So actually, two things.
No, it's your turn, Krissy. You have to talk about
Oh
Yang.
wait,
What?
yeah, we
No.
have to talk about Yang still.
Oh,
Krissy,
yeah!
you're a part of this show as a character too. Krissy, you ruined me. I was gonna go along with it. I almost skipped that. All right. Krissy, take it away.
Well, I guess that goes with canon, since Yang took 2 seasons for us to get any amount of character development.
Hey!
Oh yeah, let's just forget about Yang. It's not like she's the main character's sister.
Well, to be fair, Yang got a lot of development in season 2.
Thank
Which
God.
was really quite crazy to me, because every single thing I had canon for RWBY, they gave to Yang.
Get fucked.
Like, Yang's the one who's looking for her mother, and she has that angsty backstory where they had all of this going on and that and this.
Are you okay over there, Krissy?
Oh my god, what just happened? I think she just became a villain?
Krissy's master plot has just like unfolded.
I'm kind of scared.
You're making me laugh more. Okay, I'm sorry.
Talk about Yang, you big raccoon.
Okay.
Jesus.
Talking about Yang. So everything that I was headcanoning about Ruby happened with Yang instead, which really made her a lot more vulnerable than I thought she would be. Because something weird about Yang is that they introduced her to be sort of a tough girl, but they keep zigzagging with her. How she's like tough on the outside, but then she's soft on the inside. But underneath that soft layer is a pillar of toughness, but even deep down there's a little softness there. So I'm just like, make up your fucking mind! God! Yang feels the most inconsistent to me, which is probably why I think, besides Blake, she has the most inconsistent fanon characterization. There's some people who go completely one way and they make her a total badass, and she's always cracking wise, and she's always doing this and this and that, which is the route we took for Summer Rose Court. She's like a jock, basically. And then there's the other way around, where she's super nurturing and loving and kind. And yes, I know characters can be both, but it feels less like they're trying to make her both, and more like they can't really decide which she is.
Yes.
But that's just me, though. When I try to write Yang, I try to write her as very, a little crass, but loving underneath it. Like, more than anything else, she wants to take care of people, and she's always putting other people before herself, and she's always trying to push people to be the best that they can be, and really supportive and loving and cool. Yang's the best. And when I write her, it's a real temptation to make every other word out of her mouth like a swear or a dick joke. So I usually have to do a second pass of all my manuscripts and take out 90% of all the swear words.
All right. Emmy?
So I'll just start by saying that I'm so glad that fanon interpretation of Yang is the way that it is, because I despise how she's written in canon, because it feels so like...
Oh, spill that tea.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I'm like turning the cup right over. Because like, okay, it goes between like the description or like what they push of her, where it's like, oh, she's really like, she's supportive of the team, she wants to like help them, and then like, you know, which is totally solid. That is like gold star. But then it's like, okay, suddenly she's encouraging Jean to like go after Weiss, and it's like, okay, all right.
It's a major violation of girl code.
I know.
And
I'm like really mad about this. Yeah. And so, yeah, like I like the way that I always imagine Yang is I imagine her as a sister first and foremost to RWBY. Like I feel like RWBY is her everything, and that like, you know, I mean, yes, she has the whole quest to find her mom, but I feel like she like is. I feel like she kind of is always ready to put her needs on the back burner for RWBY to be ready to like help her. And you know, I mean, I not that RWBY necessarily solicits this. I mean, probably quite the opposite. She's like, I'm not a baby, no, and stops like, you know, Yang's always like goo goo gagoing over her, and RWBY's like, put me down, you know. But like,
yeah,
I feel like Yang wants to. Like, yeah, it's in Yang's nature to nurture.
Hey.
Sorry, did you want to, or?
No, I was just saying, yeah.
Oh, okay. And, let's see, the other really, okay, so I am a huge fan of, like Dory's kind of like, you know, I'm gonna mention Dory. And Dory has like this vanilla Yang headcanon that I am 100%, but I'm 100% behind. I'm like so on board with that. Like that makes complete and perfect sense. Like that's like, I just feel like, you know, her priority is her girls and like her sister, and you know, yes, she can be a total badass and she can party, but like I feel like it's not. Like I like when they describe her as a party girl, I feel like that's way too broad for like who Yang is, and like
she never really displays that.
Huh?
She never really displays that
right?
Party girl.
No, not even. I mean, even in like her trailer, it was kind of all business because she goes to the club and you know she's looking for what she's looking for, and you know she you know she's very goal oriented, I think, and like. You know, and if she's looking for something, she's on that. She doesn't get like diverted usually, and like, or at all. But like she, like it's mostly what I was saying before is that just like RWBY is her priority, and I feel like if push came to shove, like she would do anything for her, honestly, and that's just how I think of Yang. Like, if I'm like writing her actions, like like to be honest, I haven't written a lot of Yang, but like. I feel like what I have written is like I would write it with RWBY in mind. Like if RWBY's right there, then she has to like she would always be thinking first about how it would affect RWBY. She's really selfless. Yeah.
All right. Well, first off, you're fueling Krissy's existence with your explanations there.
Yeah.
That's a joke to some things. But next, Hana.
Yang. I'm pretty sure it was Cody, right? I'm pretty sure it was you who said like you liked my Yang or something to some degree.
Oh yeah, I think I probably
only
said at some point.
I think mostly just in the one story, but I think Yang is actually my easiest of the 4 main girls to write for whatever reason. I don't know why. I mean, I tend to have her, I don't know why I give her an accent sometimes. I'll make her say y'all and I don't know why. I really don't know why I do it, but in my mind, that's how I make her different from everyone else. Her speech pattern is different from Weiss and Ruby and Blake. They all have their different little idiosyncrasies, and Yang's will be to just talk casually and kind of slur her words sometimes because, she's kind of carefree and laid back on the outside. But as Emmy was saying, she's very goal-oriented on the inside, and she has her priorities, behind the scenes, even though she doesn't always display them for everyone to see. She doesn't wear her emotions on her sleeve all the time, but she will always put Ruby first. And again, the same things that Krissy and Emmy have been saying is, how she wants to nurture everyone. She's the big sister, and she needs to just take care of everyone else first and foremost, so she might tend to neglect herself at some times. I know I've written her that way a couple times. But I try, honest to God, to not make her the pun person, because as Cody was saying in our interview last time, she said one pun in canon and it was totally fan service, but she's not she'd never before done that. The fandom just totally did that. We did it on our own, and don't even know why. And I'm guilty of it. I've done it before plenty of times, but I try not to. During a more serious story. I mean, if there's a joke to be made, I'll have Yang make it if it's appropriate in that story. But if I can avoid it, I'm trying not to, write her that way, because that's not really who I see her as.
All right.
Okay. I guess going back to what Emmy was saying about how Yang cares so much about Ruby, I think one of the things that gets overlooked the most in season 1 and 2 for Yang, and it's really understated actually, is that her pride in Ruby. There's a scene when Ruby's walking off into the forest. It's early. I think it might be episode 7 or episode 8.
I know.
Yeah, when she's standing on the rock. Yeah.
And Yang just stops and looks at
ah.
her. And Blake goes "What are you doing?" And she's like, "Oh, it's nothing," And it's just she's she's so proud of her sister. And it shows another thing too. For all of Weiss's conflict with Ruby being the leader, Yang doesn't show it ever once. She doesn't seem to have any jealousy or issue whatsoever with the fact that her younger sister is her leader. Mm-hmm. It doesn't even, occur to her. She hugs her, in the announcement, "I'm so proud of you," and hugs her, her pride in Ruby is something, I think a lot of fandom kind of overlooks that, because they define Yang by herself, and, you forget that it's, so much of her motivation is devoted to Ruby. Mm-hmm. Which I think that, unfortunately, in the canon writing, leads to why Yang's characterization is a little bit inconsistent, because part of them goes, "Oh, well, she's Ruby's sister," and then they leave out making her her own person. So it's this weird, back and forth hybrid of, "Oh, she's doing a thing for Ruby. Oh, wait, okay, what, who's Yang again?"
Yeah.
I feel that's a thing in canon, that they need to develop her more independently, but I also feel on the flip side that in fanon forgets that part of her character is already there. Mm-hmm. And then, on a slightly more personal note for my fanon, is that since I do write Yang as Chinese, I know different people don't.
Yes!
But,
yes! Sorry.
Oh, I know where this is going, and I'm already happy.
Okay, a Chinese girl abandoned by her parents, a mother. My sisters are adopted from China. That's a super personal narrative for me, and I realize that Rooster Teeth is probably never going to go that direction and never meant it. But, her angry conflict with Blake, when she's just that she wants to go out there and that she wants to run, a lot of that, whenever I write Yang, I think of that on a personal level, of what it's like to have been left, not just your birth mother, but the one who chose you is ow. What can hurt more than that? No wonder. And it's obviously Summer didn't mean to leave Yang if she's dead, but the feeling is still there. So when I write Yang, it tends to be, yes, she's very tough and she's very nurturing, and in some sense it's compensation, but it's also that she's missing something, and it really, really hurts. But she doesn't want Ruby to see it. That's the crossover. I'm actually really curious. We don't know in canon how much Ruby knows about Yang's quest to find her mother.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know if RWBY knows at all. Which is, I could see if we are ever going to have a RWBY and Yang conflict, that would probably be the basis of it. So when I write Yang, it tends to be that she's very physically tough and kind of empathetic, but underneath it is a core of anger that, I mean, it shows on her semblance. It shows that, keep hitting me, I'm going to get back up, until she completely, whites out and blows up the room. And so, I don't know. It's an important factor for me. I like Yang a lot.
All right.
When you mentioned, like, if Yang and RWBY ever fought, I just kind of, like, I was in pain. I was like, I can't imagine them, like, all out screaming at each other. Oh my god, what have you done to me? Oh no.
I want it so bad.
Oh no.
I want to see them fight.
No.
I want to know what would happen.
I honestly think that if they needed a reason to...
Everyone just screaming in pain.
If there was ever a reason for them to fight, it would be because Yang had hidden something like that for RWBY, and that would really hurt RWBY. Imagine what it's like.
Don't do this.
Okay, RWBY knowing that she and Yang share the loss of Summer, and then finding out that your older sister also has another mom who isn't dead. I mean...
Oh no.
Mm-hmm.
Don't even want to think about it.
I feel like
Alright, I'm done.
You're holding a cigarette to my skin, and I'm just like, yes,
sad.
twist it in.
Ivory, when somebody dies because of this, the blood's going to be on my hands. And I want you to realize this.
Real quick, going over what you said about Yang being so proud of RWBY, it really, it was a really nice, satisfying climax to that mini arc of Yang in the first few episodes. It's completely she takes RWBY and she throws her in the deep end of the pool and she takes off. That was the first 8 episodes, because she knows that RWBY's a little clingy. And she loves RWBY, but, she's her own person, too. I wish the writers would remember that. But anyway, but in the first few episodes, she's like, bye, I'm going to go hang out with my friends. Make friends, RWBY. Make friends who aren't me. And so finally, that whole thing culminates with RWBY making other friends and becoming the leader of her own team. And Yang is so happy. She's so happy that her plan worked, I would say. Yeah.
And kind of, sorry, I know we're kind of going long, but I mean,
No, do it.
But just building on top of that, just how much Yang cuddles and squeezes and adores RWBY, and then goes okay, now you've got to do it, go and make friends, that she can go back and forth between that, because that Yang honestly loves and wants to smother her with affection, but she also wants RWBY to be self-sufficient without her, and she knows that that's more important than just them sticking together all the time. And I think she wants I would even hazard to say that she's setting up RWBY for if there was a worst case scenario somewhere down the line where Yang is somehow not there anymore, RWBY will have other people that she can lean on, and because Yang has this quest to find her mom, and we don't know where that will take her, and maybe Yang doesn't know where that will take her. We don't know how much RWBY knows about it. I would guess not a lot, but I feel like her ultimate goal is to give RWBY the most possible tools to be able to provide for herself in terms of
succeed.
Yeah, and in terms of making friends and being able to be on her own, even though they would never want to be separated, but Yang just wants to protect her in any way that she can think of. So it's oh yeah, okay, that's...
I did, when you were implying of if Yang's not here further down the road, I was like, oh my god, don't. But I totally get what you were saying, because she wants to let RWBY go and be her own person, but she wants to make sure she hugs her every day and tells her she's so proud of her every day, and she does it as much as possible, even if it's going over the top. But she wants to make sure RWBY knows, just in case, like you said, if something did happen, Lord forbid, that she wants to make sure RWBY knew Big Sister Yang loves you above all else. And oh my god, I'm in pain.
And I feel Yang is kind of filling that void of
Mom?
of mom, yes, because and it's just like a parent watching their kid go to school. Like you don't want to let them go, but then you know you got to do it, and you're just so proud of them, and you know, oh, that's how I feel. I mean, Yang is like sister, mom, superhero. Yang, that's just who she is.
Bruce Banana.
I love Yang a lot.
What do we got next, Cody?
Which,
we should
real
move on.
interesting though, one last thing is that in the DVD commentary, they mentioned that Yang actually sort of sees Blake as a bit of an older sister at times, which I thought that was interesting. But yeah, go on.
I kept this show happy for 50 fucking episodes.
I'm sorry.
And y'all just
do you know
showed
who
up.
We are?
Tore down my empire. Also,
I'm not sorry.
I know you're not.
He's being good.
I'd also like to say 4 questions was a little bit ambitious. We are 6 minutes off of the soft cap. So let's go ahead and make it 2 questions.
Oh, I thought we just had 1 and all 4 of... Oh.
No, like, it was 4 questions intended like that.
Cody, real quick, I want to see what the questions are. Type them out in the chat and we'll decide which one we want to talk about.
Joke's on you, I'm the host. I already know which one y'all are going to talk about.
That's fair enough.
But I can tell you I'll show you what the others would be.
Alright, next question.
So, the question that we're going to go with here, within RWBY, shipping's a big deal, within the RWBY fandom anyways. And I just say that as in, it's kind of in a weird circumstance where every single character works with every other character. This is a big deal within the fandom. Shipping is just something that tends to happen a lot. So, I think that it would be the most apt here to ask, starting with Emmy, of course. When it comes to shipping someone with your character, what do you look for?
Okay. I've already talked about RWBY to death, so I'll talk as if I'm a normal person that wants a healthy relationship for RWBY. So I look for, like, I mean, I would say just compatibility, but that can mean anything. I mean, so it's kind of open-ended. How about...
I was speaking on what traits do you look for, like in referring back to like some of the things that I've done on the show before. I talk about, you know, and I'm gonna use RWBY as an example. I talk about how RWBY is this kind of like very sweet and innocent character in kind of like a lot of different ways. So looking for somebody who can kind of either encourage that or grow that up or do something like that with her. So something like that. Like, what are things that you look for somebody that can ship with her?
Yeah. So okay, that makes a little bit more sense. Sorry. So I like when I'm trying to think of like who to ship with RWBY. Like, you know, I like sometimes it isn't even shipping as in like, you know, like they're in a solid relationship, but like I just like the idea of like how they would interact together. I'd have to say like Penny and RWBY especially has a soft spot in my heart because I feel like Penny is also really innocent, but in like a completely different way than RWBY is. I mean, barring the whole like, you know, she's a robot, you know, sort of thing. But I feel like they just have like okay, that moment where Penny had to like run away and RWBY followed her even though she didn't know what was going on. You know, they have like a friendship, and even though it was a kind of a weird thing that happened, their friendship, and there's a lot of unanswered questions, RWBY just trusts her because she's somebody that she knows, and you know, and they've had to help each other out in the past. So she's like, okay, I don't understand right now, but I'm gonna follow Penny because she might need my help. And then Penny is like clearly very distraught when she's like on the verge of telling RWBY like her big secret, and like just the way that whole thing happened. Like, you know, Penny hiccups when she lies, and she said like, no, I don't want to talk about it, and then she hiccuped, and it's like, oh, Penny really, really wants to talk about it. And she begged RWBY. She's like, you promised you're my friend, you know, like she was so scared of losing like RWBY's trust and like RWBY's friendship, even though like to Ruby, like they were probably had like just begun, like it wasn't like they didn't have a lot between them yet, but to Penny it was everything. It was just like Penny was so scared, and I just feel like the fact that Ruby could like be her sweet self and just reassure her that no, there's nothing wrong about it, and you know, you're just as much a person as I am, and I, you know, like totally just like validating Penny and making her feel like less self-conscious about the fact that she's a robot, you know. I really like that the characters that Ruby can be with like Blake or Weiss or Penny, where they have like some sort of big insecurity, and then Ruby like convinces them, you know, that there's like good in the world, and that there's always someone that will accept them, basically. So that's what I look for.
All right, Hana.
What can I say that Emmy hasn't said 1,000 times better? Like, for when I write shipping with Ruby, I've written her with like various different characters, here and there with different various relationships, but I also look for, you know, a character who can help her grow and whom she can help grow in return, it's really vague, and that's probably what you get from any relationship, really. But someone that like can help Ruby in her own special way, because as we were talking about before, how she views the world as a fairy tale, and she wants to be the hero, and she wants everything that's good and right and pure with the world because she's a precious cinnamon roll and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And she, like, people who I ship her best with or who I write her best with can give her that and fuel the good things in her, but they aren't scared to explore the darker sides or, you know, her past or the troubles that she's had. And she isn't afraid to help them either or help them explore their past. And I haven't really been thinking about Ruby. I thought I had to do Weiss, so I've been thinking about Weiss the whole time. So I'm just going to end here.
Okay. I've written a lot of Arrow Ace Ruby. Like, if you kind of like cycle around like my fix, like that's probably like my most canon interpretation. So I don't do a lot of shipping for her, but most of the ships I have with her is like Ladybug's pretty high up there. That's probably my favorite Ruby ship.
Yeah.
And when I'm looking for ships for Ruby, it's one that, like, I want it to be complementary in a way. Like, again, like, I feel like Ruby can learn from Blake and Blake can learn from Ruby. Is that, you know, they have different, like, I don't usually ship, like, super similar characters together. I usually want there to be at least some, like, kind of, like, core of, not necessarily conflict, but difference. And that by being together, the two of them, like, overcome it and make it better, in a way. And I feel like Ruby and Blake could do that for each other. So yeah, I mean, that's like my big Ruby ship. So in terms of like what I see for ships of Ruby, like that's there. I also like Mechanical Rose. I love Penny and Ruby too, because I feel like that has the same thing, is that Ruby, you know, going from a robot who literally being born would not have any friends, which harkens back to, you know, Ruby, season 1 Ruby being like, I don't want any friends, and thinking out, it's like, wow, this is important. And to be told that you're human is important. Like, I feel like that, like, Penny and Ruby could do the same things. So yeah, that's my Ruby shipping opinion. It's very short.
I appreciate you. All right, and Krissy?
I think you're all missing the obvious best Ruby ship, which is Ruby Pyrrha.
I thought you were going to go a totally different route with
I'm
that.
I'm actually writing that right now.
Oh my god! Shut up!
I am.
I'm so happy! I love it. It's like, yeah, Dark Horse, yeah, I get it, haha, I ship Yang and Ruby. But actually...
I was just concerned as a general rule.
Yeah, I know. But actually, Ruby is one of my, Ruby is like a Fandom bicycle for me. I can ship her with just about everybody, and it's so much fun. I even started writing, well, I guess that's sort of... Well, whatever. I've been trying to write different Ruby ships. Let's leave it at that. But you'll see them eventually. But, but she's so cute, and she just loves people so much. You could tell that she would really, like I said before, that she does things 100%. So if she decided that she was gonna date somebody, she would go for it 100%, and she'd be like, how do I be the best girlfriend ever to this person? And it's just, I love Ruby. And I'm done. That's all I gotta say about Ruby.
All right. And so circling back around to Emmy, what's your favorite Ruby ship?
Oh.
Be honest.
Be 100% honest.
Oh, jeez. Is it hot in here?
I see what
Is
you
it
did
hot
there.
in here?
There's
You
some
just-
cinders in here.
Okay. I actually sometimes I don't know. Sometimes I get so far into the hiatus that I just feel like out of touch, and Cinder Ruby.
Just say it. There we go.
Spent all that
There you
time
go.
trying to come up with a
Tell us
lie.
why you like Cinder
But like
Ruby.
yeah, to be honest. I'm so sorry. but no, I mean it's like a three-way tie for first place though.
What are the other two?
The other two are White Rose and a four-way tie, Ladybug and Mechanical Rose. I literally love them
One
all
good
for
Ruby
different
ship.
reasons.
But
Too
they're
hard.
all so
Don't
good.
do this to me, man.
That's the fun of the show. Like I said, there's a lot of characters and there's a lot of ways that everybody kind of fits in with each other, which, you know, I talk about it a lot depending on what episode it is, but it's just kind of, that is the way where you say you have a four-way tie for first, so I think we all know what you really cherish above all else. And so, you know, it's just, that's kind of the fun part, and that's why I wanted to make this the question that did, stop fucking texting me, and that's why I wanted to make this the question that did wind up going through. So next, Hannah.
Okay. I think the biggest thing I would look for in the case of shipping Weiss would be her status is a really big component for, like, when I write shipping stories, because Weiss is viewed as, you know, oh, heiress of Schnee Dust, oh my gosh, so important, but whatever other character is with her, like, might feel they're lesser than her, or something like that to some degree, and that's why I feel it's really intriguing to put her with Blake sometimes, because they're so different, or they're from totally different worlds. But I feel everyone's kind of in a different world from Weiss. She has her own world, and it's a matter of which person and how they will interact with her, and how they can start to break down her shell, or at least try to. I know I've tried to write Weiss with like a lot of different characters, maybe not always romantically, but I know I've written at the time the only one of Weiss and Sun, and then I also wrote Weiss and Penny, and I've done some with Cinder here and there, and it's always really fun to try and interpret how I think other characters would interact with her in like a romantic relationship, and how she would react to that, because I feel she hasn't gotten a lot of, if any, of the like affection and warmth in her life that, you know, a person would desire. So to have her, who is always secluded and alone and, you know, by herself, to finally have this relationship that's like meaningful, and where a person actually cares about her and not her status and not her money, I think that would, you know, that's the most important thing to her, is that they love her for herself and not what she has.
All right, Ivory.
Okay, I mean, everybody knows I love monochrome. Like, I mean, we'll get that out of the way, obviously. But, I mean, and it's for a lot of the same reasons that Hannah said, because they're from completely different worlds. And, I mean, the conflict is inherent. Schnee Dust and the White Fang, Schnee and the Faunus, it's right there. Like, I mean, they even joke in the VA commentary that it's Romeo and Juliet, and then Aaron's like, what, they're gonna kill themselves over each other? And Kara's like, But, is that it's, you know, it's there. And I feel like with shipping Weiss is that she should be with somebody who challenges her. Not somebody who's trying to please her, not somebody who, again, wants her money or her status, or would be with her for the sake of their own status. But somebody who is enough, who is patient enough, because Weiss is mean and Weiss has a lot of issues and I love her to death, but somebody who's patient enough to wait for that shell to crack and go, hey, I still love you. I love you anyway. Regardless of like whatever, it's just like, yeah, I still love you. You can be awful, you can be the heiress to this, you can be that, but it's like, I know that you're trying to do better, and somebody that she can trust. Like, I think that like that's probably like the biggest thing, which, I mean, in the case of something like Weiss Cinder, it's probably that Cinder is manipulating her ability to have trust. Obviously, like, that's not a positive thing, but is that it would have to be somebody that Weiss could have faith in, because she doesn't have a lot of it. I mean, you can tell, she even says, for herself, boys want to be with me for my status. She knows that. She's a 17-year-old girl, and she knows for the fact that the majority of men who have ever spoken to her in that kind of sense is because they want something from her, and not her as a person. So when it comes to, like, not her as a human being, so when it comes to shipping Weiss, I think it's always somebody that she can have that trust and have that faith, no matter how small, and then let it build up from there.
All right. Krissy?
Shipping characters with Weiss? I've written not so many of that, have I? I don't think so. I love Weiss, but I don't ship her very often. It's a little uncomfortable sometimes, even though I do like ships with Weiss. I just feel like sometimes she has so many issues that right now she really needs a friend more than anything else. And I really wish they would focus more on Weiss having friends and focusing on that, and in canon too. But I do like Weiss and Ruby because it's cute and, it has all the makings of a really cute relationship, and Ruby will not tolerate Weiss treating her badly and will call Weiss out on her shit. And at the same time, she's gentle enough and forgiving enough to still be there when Weiss comes back to apologize. Geez, I also really like Monochrome just because it's a mess.
It is such a mess.
It is.
It's such a mess. Oh, that's all I have to say about that. Just that that's a ship that you have to handle pretty delicately because of all of the unfortunate implications. Geez, help me out here, Ivory. You know me
I mean,
better
the last Weiss thing you wrote was Weiss, Ruby, and Blake.
That's true.
I mean, and then before that you wrote O-Star, which is you basically written Monochrome, or you've written White Rose, and like that's or
it.
A combination of the two.
Too. Yeah, and I've written like exactly one freezer burn, and it was just really fluffy and didn't really go anywhere, and it was just like empty calories. But yeah, I like Weiss. I don't like shipping her too much. I think she should focus on making friends and close connections that way, because that's what she really needs, in my opinion.
All right. Emmy?
So, shipping Weiss with other people. It kind of goes off a lot of what Krissy and Hana said. I have a really, really, really soft, tender, bruisey spot in my heart for White Rose, because I can just, like, it's sort of like, yes, Weiss needs friends first and foremost, because she is like she doesn't know how to like do friendship yet. I don't think it's like she needs somebody that like can be genuine to her and not want to like use her or anything, and I feel like if she's had experiences like that, like where she's probably been like younger and more naive and like probably like people tried to trick her, and she's a little jaded, but like she's also like interesting in that, like, while she knows like, yes, this is what I should be careful of, I feel like there's a part of her that really wants to trust people. And so like with Ruby, I feel like they need to like they're just like, the way it would be is like they were just good buddies. They can be like having this bond, and like Weiss feels like she can be like the older one in like a relationship, like of like not even like a relationship like of like togetherness, but together. But like in that, like she can just like feel comfortable and knowing that she is like the smarter one. And you know, like, I mean, it's not like in a mean way towards RWBY or anything, but it's just that RWBY's younger and hasn't had as much experience, and maybe Weiss can take comfort in knowing that she has more experience, and you know, she doesn't have to be like totally like back straight, shoulders out, shoulders back, like sort of thing around RWBY, and she can probably relax a little bit more around her. And then I like the way I just envision it is just that, you know, like their friendship goes on, and gradually, like flossing with barbed wire, it just turns out that you know, little bits and pieces of Weiss in her past like are revealed to RWBY, and you know, and eventually like Weiss can finally come to her with something really big if she needs to, and you know, just finally have that shoulder to cry on when she like never had it before. And gosh, it sure feels good to have that. And just yeah, just, I'm okay.
Are you
swooning?
Really?
Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
But building off of that real quick, that what you said about Weiss having more experience, something I wish more fics would touch on is the fact that Weiss is a little prickly about the fact that RWBY, I know they already allegedly settled this,
Yeah.
but RWBY's still younger than her and often is better than her at things, and it's still, I want that to pop up more often, and I want Weiss to be a little bit more, I guess desperate's a bad word, but just like she wants affection. She's not desperate for it, but she's kind of starved
Needy.
for it. And she does, yeah, a little needy. She doesn't want to
Insecure.
admit it, or she doesn't want to, you know, she doesn't even realize it at first. But, like, once she starts opening up to these people and becoming their friend, and then, like, at one point they're all gone, perhaps, and then she's like, oh no, this is awful. Why did I make friends? Because when you lose them, it's the worst. You know, I want more of that.
I feel
Just
that's the
throwing
case
that
that
out
we
there.
actually see that when she's in the telecom tower. And, like, she makes a big deal about how RWBY fussed about going to the tower, like, Weiss was inconvenienced by this, but when RWBY leaves her to go for Penny, that's when we actually see Weiss alone with herself, that we see that
no.
The fake
she's, in that
smile.
elevator,
I was
that scene in
just
the elevator
thinking
where
about
her
that.
face keeps changing and she's trying to
Kill
force a
me.
smile, is that, yeah, she's feeling that
Stick the
loss,
knife
she's
in
like,
deeper.
why isn't my partner here with me?
How dare
You're
you?
welcome.
I was
Can you wait? I'm
just
about to talk
thinking
about
that.
Blake. Are you ready for that?
Oh, right.
I'm not.
Oh,
I'm really
God.
not. I'm ready.
So,
Okay,
wait,
what's
no,
next?
we're not, Krissy, I'm the host, we're not moving on yet. Hannah, what's your favorite ship
Yes.
involving RWBY?
Oh wait, you mean involving
Or
RWBY
involving
as in you?
Weiss. I misspoke.
Oh, okay.
I fucked that one up.
Okay. I mean, everyone knows I multi-ship. Like, I love a lot of different ships for a lot of different reasons. And recently, some people who shall remain nameless, who I roleplay with, have really, really pulled me into monochrome hell. And I really love monochrome, but I will always and forever be a White Rose person. I mean, that's it. That's it. And Right Rose as well. Not just because
Reminded me
Emmy's
how
my
bad of
Ruby.
an RP partner I am.
We
I'm
don't
so
have
bad.
a cosplay blog together, no.
Yeah.
I should update that? Okay.
All right. I almost don't want to do this now. Ivory, take it away.
Alright, so, wait, run the
Fancy.
question by me again, so I hear the phrasing.
It's the shipping. Hang on.
So, when it comes
With Blake.
When it comes to shipping someone with your character, what do you look for?
Oh, shipping with Blake. So the first fic I ever wrote was Bumblebee, because my introduction to RWBY fandom was through Machine Keys, otherwise known as Caro, and as far as I was aware, I actually thought White Rose and Bumblebee were canon before I watched RWBY. That was my impression from the fandom, since I came in late, obviously, and saw all these gift sets and art and everything. I was amazed, and obviously that's not the case. It could be, it should be, but is with Blake is that I saw a lot of its similarity with Weiss is that I feel it should be somebody that Blake can trust, but not only that, is that somebody that Blake can trust to go to bat for her. It's not just like, I mean, yeah, trusting somebody at your back, but somebody that will get, like, and I feel that hasn't necessarily, like RWBY does it. Like, when Blake's like, I don't want to be there, I don't want to do that. RWBY's like, no, Blake has to go to the dance. And Yang and Weiss are kind of like, I mean, if she wants, but, like, RWBY's just like, no, she needs to go. Like, I want her to be social and not lock herself up. And I feel like that's an important thing, is somebody who will stick their necks out for her. But she's a faunus. People don't stick their necks out for faunus. That's just not how it works. So it's not just like a trust issue in terms of like, hey, I'm trusting you with who I am as a person and who I am with my past and who I am, you know, everything else. It's that somebody who will actually put themselves between her and some danger. I have a lot of Blake ships, like what Krissy said about RWBY. Blake's my fandom bicycle. I've written all of Monochrome. I'm writing Ladybug right now. I've written Bumblebee. I've written, I mean, I have many ships with Blake, so it's kind of hard to say. The one, like, terrible ship I have is Blake Cinder, and the reason for that is not a lot. It's also the trust thing, though, because that ship came out of my question of, when Blake left the White Fang, what happened in that gap between her and going to Beacon? Because obviously something happened. And the fact that Cinder manipulates, like, the White Fang in canon, like, it made me wonder, like, if there could be some kind of connection there. So that's how that ship happened. But mostly, as I base it in Blake, is that somebody that she can trust and somebody that, again, will have her back. She needs it. She has, as we said before, she has, like, the entire world stacked against her at the moment. So, all right.
All right, Krissy, take it away.
With Blake, well, let's see. Well, I started watching and getting into the RWBY fandom when the yellow trailer came out. So as soon as I saw the yellow trailer, I just got obsessed. It was almost like love at first sight. But I saw that, and I immediately started looking into every single thing I could possibly find out, and I had convinced myself that Yang was looking for Blake in the yellow trailer. And so I was like, that's it, she's in love with Blake, and we're gonna find out what's going on here and all her backstory. So I immediately shipped Bumblebee. I even helped name it Bumblebee. Like, other people came up with it at the same time, but I'm gonna take credit for it. But then, as soon as Blake was actually introduced, her first scene is with Weiss. And then I just saw that immediate chemistry there, and I'm like, oh no, I actually ship this a lot more. And then she started having all that chemistry with Yang again, and I'm like, oh, I can't make up my mind! So, Beeshnees. I just like Blake ships because she's very vulnerable, and I like the idea of playing around with that in fiction, because it's a safe place to play around with that kind of theme. Just her displaying trust in people, and or possibly having that trust broken. It's just something I like playing with, and I like it when, I really hate it when people write Blake again, going back to this, with too much kitty cat interaction. I mean, like, here and there it's cool, and if you make allusions to her being cat-like, that's fine. But then if you start, like, just making her an animal, it just starts getting a little uncomfortable for me. My favorite Blake ship's probably Monochrome or Ladybug. I honestly can't choose. I ship Blake with all of Team RWBY, and I want them to make her happy. I think that's all I have to say about Blake.
All right. Emmy?
As far as shipping Blake with people, like I said kind of earlier, it's just like people that can make Blake feel included and like she has a place where she belongs. So, you know, I just want her with any of the girls, you know. And I also have like a soft spot in my heart for Blake Pyrrha and Blake Velvet, because
yes.
I can't believe I forgot to mention that.
Love both of those.
Blake and Pyrrha are like the power couple. Like, oh my god. Like that when they just dragged Cardin
it's the history class ship.
In the history class. And then, you know, and then I wish there had been more like you know, visible screen time of like Velvet and Blake, because they obviously know each other, because that one little episode where Coffee cameoed for like a second and Blake's like, Velvet, what's going on? Like, she approaches Velvet.
Senpai!
Right. Like you can kind of tell there's like a bond of solidarity there, and I adore it. Like Black Velvet and Purra.
Or Pussy Magnet.
Yeah, Pussy Magnet.
Oh my god.
That name is just
Why?
hilarious.
You're 16!
I always forgot that was the sub name, because the first time I saw that, I was like, I actually thought that was Blake and Penny.
Ah!
And then I was like, oh wait, okay, I get it. Never
Also
mind.
I have
applicable.
never heard that. You guys are sick.
Come
I'm
up with it.
disgusted.
I didn't
No,
come up
keep
with
that.
it. I did write Purra because of Amazing MJ making a comment about Pyrrha being a top, but that I did not do the other thing.
Oh god.
I need to
We better
cleanse
start-
myself.
Purra is a
I
top.
read that story.
Oh my god.
Cody,
I did. We talked about that in the interview. I did not read what the asterisk meant. Did not do that.
Size.
All right. Emmy, are you wrapped up now?
Oh yeah.
All right. Hannah?
Hannah.
I'm fanning myself. Okay. Oh my god. I'd had a point back when Ivory was speaking, and then like by the time it came around, I totally forgot what it was. I should have written it down. Shipping Blake with people. I think like Blake ships are like the opposite of my Weiss ships. Like, since Weiss is more elevated and like the top of the food chain, Blake would probably be at the bottom. And she needs people who she can trust. We've said it all already. Trust with her back, and trust with her past, and people who won't judge her for being a faunus or decisions she's made in the past, because she's probably had to, if she hasn't had to kill people in the past in White Fang, then she's had to probably do some really terrible things and make some hard decisions. And putting Blake with someone would, they'd probably have to be extremely understanding, and she wouldn't want them to be hurt by her past. And I feel she would just be very timid. Like, if she got the chance, like, she would, if she ever did anything wrong, she would cut it off and be like, no, get away from me, you're better off without me, kind of. So whoever we would ship her with would have to be very attentive and careful and constantly reassuring her that, they felt their feelings were genuine. And I see that in a lot of Blake ships. Like, I really like Black Velvet myself. And I see it with any of the ships of Blake with the other members of RWBY. But I'm really upset I can't remember my one point. It was halfway decent and I can't remember it now. But yeah. I enjoy Blake ships a lot.
I just want to say I can't believe I forgot about Black Velvet. I feel like I should apologize to Overachiever Sloth, who I'm dating, because they're gonna yell at me for it. I love Black Velvet. Blake being with, especially since it was proved that Velvet's older. Since we don't know how much older, but the fact that like an older faunus to be with her and be like, who also doesn't have the baggage of the White Fang, because if Velvet also had the baggage of the White Fang, they would probably have more issues. But to like help, like even just as friends, to just help Blake out, I really, really hope we get more of what we saw in that, like, 3 seconds.
Please God.
All right. So
Like, Velvet can, like, help teach Blake to be, like, a faunus, without the White Fang, because Blake only grew up as a faunus in the White Fang. She didn't grow up as, like, a normal faunus. And, like,
and I think the
potential.
dynamic is interesting is that Velvet shows her ears, and she can't, like, not...
Yeah.
She can't not...
That's true.
She can't not do it. But the thing is, like, I feel that that's a really interesting Black Velvet dynamic, because she can look at Blake and go, you're choosing to hide that, and you know what that means. Like, that's, like, a really, like, I think, like, in terms of, like, if you're writing faunus, like, whether you're closeted or not, I'm obviously using closeted for a certain reason, it's, like, just interesting. But yeah. Black Velvet, I'm sorry, partner.
I was going into this and I was thinking I'm not going to say anything, like, about what I've done, because I did it all already. Like on my my prior episodes of Cody Talks Fandom, the fan interpretation series that like are just about to wrap up. But like the idea of Blake and Velvet is just like, it's so important to me, like just as a friend, like even just as a friendship, because Velvet shows her ears, because she's brave enough to do that. And Blake, even, if you just see the cat ears, it's not going to be like white fang. Like, that's not going to be the immediate red flag, but just the decision to not show her cat ears because she knows it, and Velvet being courageous enough to do it. I just fucking love that so much. Ugh.
One of the original ship names for it was Courage.
Was
Oh,
it
that's really cute.
Yeah.
Why'd
because
that die?
of the Courage the Cowardly Dog episode. Also. Because it was a layered ship name, because there was an episode of Courage the Cowardly Dog where
That's right. I love
a bunny and a cat like fell in love. And then
And they're
also
both
the fact
girls.
that they have to be yeah. But speaking of Blake's ship, something that you guys kept mentioning about the trust, and they have to be patient with Blake. I can't believe I totally forgot to mention. Monochrome, Weiss and Blake is a big train wreck waiting to happen. But something else that's a low-key train wreck that I wish, I mean, not wish, but
Wouldn't
Ivory
be
mentioned
opposed
this
to.
too, that they, Ivory mentioned that Blake and Yang have that anger in common.
Yeah, under the surface.
Just the fact that Yang is the one who constantly has people leaving her, and Blake is the one who's constantly running away. So that is a big train wreck waiting to happen.
Oh, where is it? Krissy, you said it earlier, and it was really good, and now I need to find it again. Where is it? Where is it?
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Was it
The girl who's always left behind, loving the girl who always runs away. I thought that was really good. That was a really good Bumblebee thing, Krissy. And I meant to give you props for it, and I totally forgot to.
Yeah.
All right. So with that one wrapping up, Ivory, what's the best Blake ship?
It's hard for me to say best, and for the record, I know why a lot of people don't like Monochrome, and mostly because I think what Krissy said earlier is that if you don't handle it with a lot of delicacy, it can go really wrong. Like, there's an obvious power disparity there of the highest order, and it's on both sides to an extent. Not that Blake has power over Weiss, but the moment that always stands out to me is in Black and White in The Stray, is when Weiss realizes that Blake is ex-White Fang, is suddenly realizing that somebody who could have assassinated her has been in the room the entire time. That's horrifying. I'm not saying that in terms of like Weiss having sympathy. Obviously she was really discriminatory against Faunus the whole time, but the fact that that dynamic is something in Monochrome to be overcome on both sides. That fear. Like the fear of the other.
Oh, that was so much fun to write. Oh, and Oh Star Fall Down on Me, that was so much fun to write. That Weiss, pins her down with that, you kept that secret from me, I love it.
So it's like, it's like a messy dynamic, but it's still my favorite ship because, I don't know, I feel like that they have so much, and it doesn't hurt that whether by accident or on purpose, there is a lot of canon fuel for it. Not necessarily that the ship is canon, but that there's a lot of fuel for it. I mean, no brakes, anybody?
Hey.
The Monochrome train has no brakes.
Weiss pulled a personal clip. Like, how exactly? Like, really? Is it interchangeable? She knew what clip would fit in Blake's weapon? Okay. Is just whether, I presume that they'll stay, as friends throughout the series, although I expect Winter showing up will lead to a larger conflict there, because for all the ways that Weiss and Blake can discuss the issue amongst each other, the powers that be, the rest of the Schnee family and everything else is gonna, cause a hell of a reckoning, I'm sure. But yeah, I love Monochrome.
So you totally, yeah, I don't know why I bothered trying to trick you with words. I was absolutely banking on you just continuing on anyways and saying Monochrome without thinking, and then I was going to say you were wrong and it's Sephora, but then you just immediately, well, I don't know if this is the best ship. I'm like, God damn it. Damn it, Ivory.
Keep your it's your trash crown, Cody.
It is. It's my trash crown and my trash crown alone, as I have learned.
It is a badge and a burden.
It is a badge and a burden. Hey, I see all the canon references y'all are doing. Shout outs. And last but not least, Krissy.
Yangarang. I love the Yangarang.
Who do you want to love the Yangarang, though?
Well, you guys know I love shipping Yang with a lot of characters. I think she's not as much of a bicycle as Ruby is. Not even half as much of a bicycle. The only thing that really bothers me is that when writing Yang, it's really easy to objectify her. She already falls into a lot of pitfalls, I guess, for being the sexy fan service character. So it really bugs me when people sort of focus too much on that. So when I'm writing Yang romance, I try to make it super duper fluffy and try to make it as chaste as possible. I mean, obviously I'll write other things, but in general I try to write a more chaste Yang because I think Yang is used to people sort of treating her that way, and it would be really refreshing to have someone who just really wants to be with her because they like her, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And as for top OTPs, I really like Yang and Neo, I like Yang and Ruby, and I like Yang and Blake, and I think that's it.
All right, Emmy.
Ships with Yang, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, okay, I have to blame Angie for being the undisputed Bumblebee queen. Oh my god, she is a riot. I love her. and like just for dragging me down. So I'm a huge fan of Bumblebee just because of the the idea that like Yang kind of sees Blake as an older sister, and I feel like there's gonna be so much good that could happen with them like continuing to interact, and so I'm really looking forward to that. But like my super duper trash side, my little king trash mouth side is like Yang and Neo is where I'm at right now.
Yes.
I would love it just because I want like I feel like I feel like Neo is kind of gonna be an outlet for a lot of Yang's frustrations, and I'll just leave it at that. Like, I mean, well, okay, I won't quite leave it at that. It's just that I really want to see Neo's character development because I'm sure she's got some kind of her own agenda, and I really think she's a really unique villain so far, and just the fact that she is already kind of Yang's rival or nemesis, kind of. I mean, there's a tension between them because like she's already like foiled Yang twice, and like I feel like I'm really interested in seeing that, and I just want it because I like it. I want it. That's all. I don't have like a good reason really. I'm just like I am just like I like how it looks and it makes me feel good, so that's what I want. So yeah, that's how I feel about Yang. Although, I just hope Yang is happy no matter what. Yang just deserves to be happy. She deserves to be happy.
100%.
She deserves to find her mom, to cuddle with Ruby, and just have a girls' movie night with Blake and cuddle and kiss. Okay, that's how I feel. That's how I feel. I just want everything for Yang. She deserves it.
All right. Hannah.
For shipping Yang, I mean, I think the one I wrote it once. I believe it was a Freezer Burn story, or it was a role play of Freezer Burn with Angie, because back in the day, Angie, the Bumblebee Queen, would role play with me, and we wrote it that Yang. I need to think before I speak. Oh my goodness. Okay. How Yang is always taking care of everybody else first is one of her traits that we've been talking about this whole time. But the thing about a person with Yang would be that person would be able to step up and be like, hey, you know what? You're always putting everyone else first. You have to put yourself first for once in a while. And since Yang was always the big sister to Ruby, and she always had to kind of be the mom too, she never got a chance to have her own childhood because she always had to be the adult. She had to be looking out for Ruby. She always had to be alert and watching out for her little sister, and she didn't get a chance to be a kid. Like, her childhood just sped by because she had to look out for Ruby. She didn't get to grow up. And I think whoever we ship Yang with would have to, or should be able to recognize that and take care of her more because she needs to be taken care of too. And I also enjoy Yang and Neo a lot. I don't know why either.
Hell
I mean, I don't know why. It's just why not? I guess. But I think
It's a good
Bumblebee
ship. I mean,
really
it
is
doesn't
up
have
there.
any- sorry.
Yeah, right. Nothing happens, but it's there anyway. I do enjoy Freezer Burn. I love the contrasting elements kind of thing. But since I was White Rose since day one, I guess by default that means I'm also Bumblebee, and I really do enjoy Bumblebee too. But again, I'm multi-ship. I, go over the place. And yes, please protect Yang at all costs. I bruised banana.
Alright.
Oh, Hannah, that was like music to my soul. I was just here nodding to everything you said, like, yes.
I'm glad.
All right. And lastly, to close out the all of these, to close out my southern upbringing is really coming in. But to close it all out, Ivory, take it away.
Okay, so in terms of like shipping, I have levels. Like I have the ships that I could like write like a 3-page meta on, and then be like, this is why this could happen. Look at this. This makes sense. So that's how I am with like Monochrome, or I don't know, a few other ships, I guess.
Bumblebee.
Like, I could do that with Bumblebee, I could do that with Monochrome. Those are ones that I could be like, based off canon interaction and other things, I could be like, yeah, that is a ship. And then I have ships that are for aesthetics. And most of my Yang ships are honestly for aesthetic. Like, my favorites, like, I love Yang and Pyrrha, and that's just because I want really strong girls beating up the entire planet. I want them to take care of each other. I want them to be champs together.
Fire.
I want them, they're gonna set the world on fire in like the best way, and everybody's gonna be like, you look so good doing it. And then
I'm crying.
And then also, I also like Yang and Neo. We have a universal trash, I guess. I like Yang and Neo but that's base aesthetic of the crossover of like, you're my arch nemesis, you're my villain, and then horrible implications abound. So again, that's an aesthetic ship, and then the other one is... Damn it. Wait, I had it in my head. There's another one. I'm gonna space on it, I guess, but most of my Yang ships are... Oh, nope, Freezer Burn.
Oh!
Because that doesn't yet have a ton of canon justification. They have barely talked to each other, except for like early on when Yang's like, don't be mean to my sister, you suck, and then the game...
Innocent never run.
Yeah, exactly.
That was like their only interaction.
Yeah, exactly. So since they don't have a lot of interaction, like I can't do the same thing that I could do with like Bumblebee and Monochrome, but be like, look at all this canon that could make this the case. Like Freezer Burn's an aesthetic ship for me. You have tall and small, you have hot and cold, you have, that's like, it's just totally aesthetics is why I ship Freezer Burn. I really do like it though. And yeah, I mean, it's for Yang ships, like none of my Yang ships are super, super serious. So, I mean, the longest which is funny because the longest like Yang stuff I've written is actually like my Freezer Burn fic, and that was entirely based off Machine Keys Caro being like, please, I need Freezer Burn. And I actually tried to come up with a serious prompt and instead used a Tumblr text post to write like 25k of Weiss being really gay at everybody and then hooking up with Yang. So, yeah, I don't know. Most of my Yang ships are pretty aesthetic, I have to admit.
All right. So with that is going to conclude the 2 and permanently was always planned as being 2 questions for this panel.
And our hard cap was always 2 hours.
Our hard cap was always 2 hours.
Right.
We're just on
there
that.
We barely managed to get it in under, and I'm very, very happy. This is going to be a lot of editing and me re-saying things and cutting it in the beginning. But on a serious note, though, this was a lot of fun, and I want to thank all of y'all for coming back to the show, because it was a lot of fun just to get everybody on here to just chat again. And y'all did great. This is so much fun. Once again, this is so much fun for me to do, just to get to sit here and listen to y'all talk about the ships and y'all talk about the characters. So you're going to be seeing more of these panel formats in the future. Whether or not these 4 will be on it is I don't know if hang on, I needed to see what the schedule is. Yeah, some of y'all are already scheduled to come back that I haven't asked you back on yet, but maybe you'll see them in the future, but you will for certain be seeing people who have already appeared on the show. In the description, I'm going to be linking back to the interviews that I did with them in the first place, along with to the my fan and interpretation episodes for all of the characters that have been talked about here. But otherwise, 50 episodes in, and excited for what I hope to be another 50 moving forward. One last time, I want to thank Emmy, Hana, Ivory, and Krissy for agreeing to come back onto the show.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, no, thank you so much.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure talking to you, Cody.
And I thought it was great to have the group format, too. It's like, we don't have a lot of opportunity, because I feel like Tumblr is a hard format to, like, have these kind of conversations about. Like, multi-layer character conversations. So it's really nice to talk to people whose writing that I respect and enjoy, like, hearing your opinions. That's great.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's just cool and once again, it's also cool for me to just like sit here and hear this. Yeah, I will say, I like when it was going in here and when Ivory was first going, I was having flashbacks to the interview I did with Ivory, because all of y'all talking about y'all's writing is great and I love it. But Ivory, I just remember like sitting there with like my head in my hands, just kind of listening, just like entranced by it.
Thank you, Cody.
It was great, and I was so excited. But that happened so many times today with everybody, and it was great. And once again, y'all will be seeing this. Maybe you'll see RWBY come back. This RWBY idea come back again, or I guess in this instance it would be okay. Ehick. I guess Ehick. EHIK. Man, that is.
We make our own team.
That is not pretty.
We might have to work on that.
Nah, it's great. I think it's
Which?
Ehick.
Kehi. I'm trying to rearrange it in my head.
Well, Krissy's can also be an X instead of a K, if that makes that better.
That makes it worse.
Yeah, Ehicks, yeah, no.
No, because an X could be anything.
I guess that's true.
Remember Team Coffee,
An X
it
could
doesn't
be
have
any
to
value
make
you want it
sense.
to be.
True.
It just has to be a color.
Damn it. All right, well, that's way too much work for me. So if somebody in the audience wants to contribute in a color for this, then go for it, and we'll get the new name for Team Ehick. That's such a bad. That's so ugly. It's just like Ehick.
Well, then I'm gonna sign off. Then it was a pleasure talking to you again,
Pleasure talking
Cody.
to all of y'all. Tune in next week for episode 51. There's one more fan and interpretations. I'm just briefly going to be going through other people who I feel as though have fan interpretations that I can compare to some things in canon that's worth mentioning, though not having a full episode for. And then after that, you will be seeing, well, more panel episodes along with more interviews. The next interview is still currently being scheduled, so I don't know if I'm allowed to say what that is yet. So we're just going to pretend like I'm not. And so, all right, we're all settled now. All right, Team Hike. It's Team Hike.
That's amazing. Okay, we actually make a word.
I thought you were. Never mind. It sounded like the. No. like Hickey, but if you say it wrong, it could sound a lot worse.
All right.
Team Hickey. Because that's what we all want from our characters, is we want them to give each other hickeys.
Oh my god, that's true. I mean, we only mentioned like RWBY, like ships within Team RWBY. We didn't mention boys. Like it's all the girls here. Like
it's true.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, that's what I expected. That's primarily what y'all write. But,
and hickeys are like purplish in color.
Nah.
I love myself too much.
Being 100% honest, out of everybody here, if there is a Jean ship that would have been worth mentioning with a member of Team RWBY, that would be Jean RWBY, TBH. That one just is like in the best spot as far as canon is concerned.
Agree to disagree.
Cody, I'm hissing internally.
Listen,
I don't want to make the sound into the mic.
Do you think that Jean and Blake is in a better spot? No, I'm just saying best spot. I'm not saying it's in a good spot. Listen, I have to be the objective host here, all right?
Okay, I will just take this moment to confess that I have a really stupid rare pair dumb ship where it's like I enjoy one-sided Russell Thrush liking Yang. That's it.
That's new.
It is
I know.
very new.
The part where
like
he runs. Okay, no, hear me out. The part
Oh,
where
right,
he
'cause
runs
he ran
into
into
her. He ran into her and she grabbed him. She's like, what's going on? And I just imagine him and like
You
she
got a
probably
puppy
like,
crush
dude,
right there.
I totally bumped into her tits. Oh my god, it was amazing.
Me!
I'm blessed.
The funny thing to me is that, like, until you said Russell Thrushes, I was like, the fandom collectively forgets Team Cardinal exists.
That's
And, like,
true. We try
until
not
you
to think
said
about
that,
them.
I don't think we mentioned any of them once.
No.
Actively, except just Pyrrha and Blake, like, destroying Cardin.
Yeah,
But
that actually,
yeah,
no,
like-
so we did. We mentioned them once.
we
Like
actively
Team
try
Cardinal
to
on the
forget their
floor.
existence.
We do.
To be fair, I think the show has
Collective
to.
effort.
You know,
They let Pyrrha wipe the floor with an entire team. I'm not sure they're coming
Yes.
back from that.
yeah, I'm actually typing out right now on Tumblr. I'm just going to type in Hickey, find out more Wednesday.
Oh,
Alright, so
my
let's finish-
boyfriend. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
All right. So I think at this point we should probably wrap it up, right?
no. Before it gets worse.
That is. Tune in. So I don't remember what I said already. More interviews coming in the future. I said some other words. All right. One last thank you to everybody for coming onto the show. You can find them in a bunch of different places that I'll link, I'm sure. But otherwise, I will see all of you the next time. Bye.